What is going on, New York Giant fans? Anyone who's watching this video, channel subscribers, welcome back to another video on the Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel. Please hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Also, share out as well. We are, I think, 88 or 87 subs away from the 1K mark. And with 1K, we get memberships going, merch lines, official merch lines, and all that sort of good stuff. But I do have to advertise, obviously, the hoodie from our good friend Hayes and a lot of the merch. We have Big Blue in the Bronx Bingo, so any of the streams, basically, if we yell out a catchphrase, not on purpose, but we yell out a catchphrase, you get bingo alignment with our catchphrases, you get some free merch, we'll send it your way. So just wanted to advertise that as well. This video is going to be, I would say, one of the more controversial ones that I did, and this is not because it's me, it's because it's a certain player, and it's a certain take that I will have for at least one side of the audience. The other side may agree with me. But it's a pretty polarizing figure in this fan base for the Giant fans. It's Daniel Jones. And there was a report, obviously, a few days ago from Dan Duggan, I believe, that the expected contract for Daniel Jones is $37 million per year. I think it's 5 years, so let's do that math quickly. 5 years, $185. Which would be, once again, $37 million per year. So what I'm going to do, to be fair in this video, before I give a final verdict out, is I'm going to go with the side that supports Daniel Jones in the argument, and then the side that says, I don't know if Daniel Jones is worth 37 or he's not worth 37. So we'll go through that, guys, but if you have an opposing opinion, or you have a point you want to bring up in this debate, or whatever, please comment below. I would love to take a look at your guys' comments and see what you guys have to say, of course. But with that being said, let's go into some of the more, I would say, positive things about Daniel Jones that kind of, in some cases, make him worthy of $37 million. Now, obviously, coming in, Daniel Jones, last few years, has not been given a solid support staff. Saquon Barkley's been there, wasn't there in 2020, was half there in 2021 when he was coming off that ACL injury. And, 2022, Saquon Barkley was healthy, but there were times where he was just run down because the offense depended so much on him. And at that point, I guess they didn't want to take the load off of him, and then they finally took the load off of him, and things started going in a different direction, but in a good way for the New York Giants down the stretch in terms of offense. So there's that side of the argument. To go into deeper detail, 2019 had an offensive line of Solder, Hernandez, Jalapio. Right guard was Kevin Zeitler and Mike Remmers at right tackle. And the wideouts and the tight ends, Rhett Ellison, Evan Ingram, Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, who I don't think stayed on the field for the full 16 games. He actually had a concussion a couple of different times. And then I said Golden Tate, I said Sterling Shepard. I'm probably missing one. Darius Slayton as well, who's probably his best target. 2020, similar situation. You had Andrew Thomas, the rookie at left tackle. You had Hernandez and Lemieux at left guard. Center was Nick Gates. You had right guard Kevin Zeitler and right tackle Cameron Fleming. Then you move to 2021. Not really any weapons, I don't think, added through the 2020 draft, to my knowledge. So, yeah, pretty much the same there. 2021 and also Darius Slayton, just to add. I know I'm rumbling and jumbling between different years, but Darius Slayton had a down year in 2020 because the Giants wanted to rely on him as a number one receiver, and they couldn't do that because that's not who Darius Slayton is. He's not an Antonio Brown type. He's not a number one wide receiver at all. So there is that. But 2021 had an offensive line of Andrew Thomas, who should have been a Pro Bowler. The left guard being Shane Lemieux, then Ben Bredesen, then Matt Skora, then this guy, then that guy. Center was Nick Gates until he got hurt. Then it was Billy Price, Ben Bredesen for one game. Actually, no, it wasn't Bredesen. It was Matt Skora for one game. Right guard Will Hernandez, and right tackle Nate Solder and Matt Peart. So that was the offensive line he dealt with. I could argue now, if you look at sack numbers, they were actually low in 2021, but he did not play the full season, played 11 games. And he started to come on a little bit as a quarterback. Stats-wise, not really, But, in the Saints game, he produced well. He produced well in that Washington game that, was the offside loss. But there were some other games where, it was ticky-tacky. Didn't really have a great Chiefs game. The Rams game was not very good. Very pedestrian-esque Raiders game. So, obviously, we could go back on 2021 a lot. You move to the year he's finally healthy. Just to note, of course, the last few years, 2019, 20, and 21, he was not healthy, but that's more of a other side of the argument type of thing. Fully healthy in 2022, lifts the Giants to a playoff spot, has the lowest interception percentage and interception count of his career, the second most touchdowns thrown, the most yards of his career, the highest completion percentage of his career, a winning record as a quarterback, and that obviously could be misleading. 16 games, you could still say he was fully healthy because that last game, Davis Webb made the start. So there's that. And to be completely transparent, as we like to say on the channel, I really don't like to drag the turnovers into 20, 21, and 22, even though that was a whole narrative. Oh, Daniel Jones got to cut down on the turnovers. No. What I worried about Daniel Jones coming into the year is consistency. Is he staying on the field, and could he put up more production? And I think I still have that worry, but we'll get to that. 2019, obviously, the fumbles and the interceptions, all this sort of stuff, that was the big narrative in the media. That was the biggest narrative ever. Then 2020, I would say for the first 3 to 4 games, he was still on that fumbling, interception type of turnover spout. And then he started to cool down as the second half went on. And you could argue that he kind of, in a way, cost the Giants a playoff spot because he went down. Now, obviously, it's not 100% his fault. Joe Judge put him back out there against the Cardinals when he wasn't fully healthy. So, obviously, that one game, one of those two games, really, where he didn't play, Giants could have been in the playoffs, but obviously that is a whole different story. And that was a fake season. That was a fake season. 6-10 does not get you in the playoffs. Very much. It's very rare. Very rare. So 2022, back on the weapons conversation, had a wide receiver core of Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay, Daniel Bellinger as a tight end, Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard goes down with an ACL. Kenny Golladay is a non-factor. Kadarius Toney's traded. Bellinger goes down. Isaiah Hodgins comes in and is probably the best receiver. Slayton is iffy. Sometimes he'll be good, sometimes he'll be bad. Had a couple of drops this season. I think he had 3 or 4 or maybe even 5. Richie James, I probably just mentioned. Maybe a few other receivers that I'm forgetting, but just a complete mess at wide receiver, as most people predicted. And then you take a look at tight end. You're not looking for a ton of production at tight end. At least I wasn't. Bellinger, he overexceeded our expectations. In terms of the offensive line, I think that, to be completely fair, I think that probably was the best offensive line he's played with in his entire NFL career. Now, maybe you go back to 2019 and say, okay, maybe that's not true. I think the Giants gave up the 5th most sacks in the league, but they still had their faults. Glowinski wasn't good. Feliciano wasn't good. Bredesen was solid. Thomas was solid. Neal was kind of a train wreck at right tackle, though he's a rookie. Gates was in there. He was solid when he went in. Azudu was, learning on the job, so there's that. But a pretty decent offensive line. Still 44 sacks, which, is not great overall. They got better towards the second half of the season. But not great weaponry to work with. Saquon Barkley was on the field for the 16 games that Daniel Jones was on the field, though. So, overall, the argument for Daniel Jones is this. Has not had enough weaponry. The Giants have treated him like shit. Injuries to the weaponry, which is kind of part of the weaponry argument. And this year, low turnovers, stayed on the field, and actually showed improvement in multiple assets of the game that go on film. And that can be credited to Brian Dable and Mike Kafka. And any other positives you guys want to include that kind of support the argument of Daniel Jones getting $37 million a year, please let me know in the comments if I miss anything. So now we're going to go to the argument of Daniel Jones does not deserve $37 million a year. Now, you look at the quarterback market, Dak, $40, $45 million, Matt Stafford's about that amount as well. Jalen Hurts is going to get something 45 plus, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, those different guys. Then you go to like the mid-level, and to be honest, I wish there was more of a mid-level more than it is now, or at least less than it is now, because Kirk Cousins is getting $35 million a year. Dak is getting 40, 45. Jared Goff's getting 30. There's another quarterback that's getting $32 million. So, there's not really a fine line between bad, backup, good, mid, and all that sort of stuff. And I've said it multiple times before, I really don't like the way the quarterback market is structured. Obviously, the salary cap's going up next year, this year, with all these TV deals and the Google deals and, the YouTube deals with Game Pass and all that sort of stuff. But you still have to factor in, the Giants have to sign Andrew Thomas. They have to sign Saquon Barkley. They have to sign Xavier McKinney. They have to sign Dexter Lawrence. They have to get some weapons around DJ. They have to get a linebacker. So there's a lot of things to factor in there. But let's go more towards the Daniel Jones shouldn't get $37 million argument. The lack of production in the last 3 years. Let's start off with that. The health, I could make a bigger argument out of that, but I can't say it's that big of a deal, but at the same time, it doesn't factor into why he's not going to get $37 million if he was with any other team or if he was with any of us. I don't think that's really our biggest issue with Daniel Jones. The lack of production is, though. So this year, he only threw 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Obviously good with the turnover thing. I don't consider that a part of, throwing in against him. It's like an arbitration type argument where, for instance, for Yankee fans out there, they took Jeter to arbitration, said all this shit about him, and, it kind of hurt him. But in this scenario, there's more to kind of compile in terms of the negative. And this is kind of what I'm doing here, kind of an arbitration type argument, the positive and the negative, and then a verdict at the end. But the production has not been consistent. He is nowhere near the 6th overall pick that the Giants selected him with. I'm going to put that on the table right now. A lot of Giant fans, like Daniel Jones. A lot of Giant fans don't really like Daniel Jones. But what I think the consensus of the fan base is, he's not going to be 6th overall pick worthy probably ever in his career. So that's a number one. Fucked up Dave Gettleman in terms of that, the value, but that's a whole different conversation I'm not willing to get into, at least right now. I kind of want to stay on the basis of production. Now, you kind of link it to the 6th overall pick. That should be your franchise quarterback. And franchise quarterback can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different teams. You have your Patrick Mahomes, your Josh Allen, who, actually Josh Allen could actually be in a lower category because Joe Burrow, he's a guy that succeeds whether weapons are on the field or not. Same thing can be said with Patrick Mahomes to a certain extent. And then Josh Allen, I feel like he's more in the category of Jalen Hurts. I think Josh Allen's better than Jalen Hurts because he has more of a proven resume, but he really didn't get going till year 3 when Stephon Diggs went to the Bills. Same thing can be said for, Jalen Hurts when it came to, getting A.J. Brown, and obviously they went to a Super Bowl and all this sort of stuff this past year. So relate that to Daniel Jones. Obviously, once again mentioned, Daniel Jones is not 6th overall pick worthy. Are you willing to pay him $37 million based on what he's done, not what he could do with upgraded weapons, which his money could definitely infringe on who you get, what type of player they are. Just putting it out there. 15 touchdowns, in 2022. That's not great. That's about average. The year before that, he was, injured in 2021, but 10 touchdowns in 11 games, not ideal. You go back a year to 2020, 14 games, 11 touchdowns. That's not great either. That's not great. And I'm not saying he's got to double the amount of touchdowns he's got to put up or all this other shit. I'm not having huge expectations for Daniel Jones. I really didn't have any coming into 22. But Kirk Cousins, let's pull him up. He's getting about $35 million a year, right? This past year, and yes, you could make the argument, he's got Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, whatever. 29 touchdowns. And then 2 years before when he had Jefferson, 35 and 33. I mean, Kirk Cousins is as mid as you can go, but at the same time, with the weapons he's got, he can flourish. And listen, that's a high touchdown amount. And I get it. the Giants necessarily haven't put stuff around Daniel Jones. And I'm going to say here, and obviously the verdict is not on the table for me yet. That's at the end. But I do think if the Giants bring back Barkley, it should be Jones as well. And if they bring back Jones, it should be Barkley as well. But are you really going to pay Jones more than Kirk Cousins when Daniel Jones has never sniffed 30 touchdowns a year, when he's never sniffed 25? Now, you could go with totals, but let's be real, Giant fans. In this scenario, why do we always have to diversify and dig into the nitty-gritty with this quarterback when other quarterbacks are always putting up these stats? And I get it. Listen, a lot of situations with Daniel Jones, you look at the first half of the season, right? They relied on Saquon Barkley. But for me, in this side of the argument, what kind of stands out is the lack of production and what is the ceiling with Daniel Jones. If he can't, now obviously, yes, he lifted up Richie James to his best season. He lifted up Isaiah Hodgins to his best season. He lifted up Darius Slayton into the weapon he is now, whether that's good, bad, indifferent. But it's not to a level that Patrick Mahomes does it. I think he's got a production ceiling. I think he's got a skill ceiling. And a lot of people will make that argument. So, are you going to pay him that type of money more than Kirk Cousins when he's never put 30 touchdowns on the table? In that scenario, are you going to pay him more than Kirk Cousins, never touched 30 touchdowns in that scenario? Just a thing for Giant fans to figure out. And obviously, listen, structuring both sides of the debate here. And also, that's what Joe Schoen has to encounter. That's what Joe Schoen has to think about. That's what these front office guys have to think about. You're going to pay him $37. Know he has a ceiling. Know that he may be a quarterback that you may not go to the Super Bowl with. You could sit here and say, okay, we're going to give him a Justin Jefferson, an ideal scenario. But, you could, in your imagination, say, okay, it's a receiver like Justin Jefferson, right? Let's just say, for instance, right, we get Jordan Addison this year, we get another late-round receiver, and then we trade for one in 2024. We think we're ready. Is that going to get you over the hump? As us Giant fans, we kind of need to start getting back to the standard of, okay, we're going to win a Super Bowl. We want Super Bowls. We want to get in, be a contender. But I don't want to be like the Cowboys. I don't want to be like the Yankees every season where we don't get over the hump. And I'm just questioning in this scenario whether Daniel Jones will take you over that hump to win a Super Bowl. And you also have to encounter this. I was talking about infringing on money earlier. All that sort of stuff. Daniel Jones taking up $37 million. You still got to sign guys that you're going to keep around. Thomas, McKinney, Lawrence, Barkley. A lot of things have to be perfect for him based on what I've seen. So, lack of production, ceiling with production, can he take you all the way? And I'm going to go into my verdict now. And I obviously kind of gave up my hand a little bit. But I'm going to reason with you guys a little bit. So, do I want Daniel Jones back? I think it would be best that he comes back. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's good continuity, locker room stuff. I think he could do better with better weapons around. Jordan Addison, maybe another tight end, a solid interior lineman, Barkley back. I think his production could go up a little bit. But at the same time, if you're asking me, putting a gun to my head, and I have to answer honestly, do you think Daniel Jones is worth $37 million a year? My answer is no. Now, a lot of people say, well, you change your opinion, this, that, and the other thing. Listen, I'm fair. I'm not a Daniel Jones hater. I'm not a lover. I'm in the middle. I like Daniel Jones. I think he's got a good personality, and I think he could withstand New York. But based on what he's put on in the past and what could be in terms of we're trying to get to a Super Bowl and everything has to be perfect around him, I'm going to say he's not worth $37 million. And I will be for the direction whatever this franchise chooses as long, and I know it's a hindsighty take, as long as it works out. If we draft Anthony Richardson and he flops, then I will say we should have re-signed Daniel Jones. Maybe I would have said that, depending on what he does with another team. If we get Daniel Jones here and $37 million and it doesn't work out, I will say, look, I kind of told you so. Not that I want to tell you so, but I told you so. Daniel Jones leads us to a Super Bowl. I will say, look, this guy proved me wrong. If Anthony Richardson gets drafted by the Giants, or another quarterback and he takes us to a Super Bowl, I'll be like, you know what? I kind of said that in a way. But overall verdict, do I think Daniel Jones should be back for continuity reasons, still developing? And, do I think that we're more than a quarterback away in that scenario? Yeah, because we need linebackers. We need wide receivers. We need corners. We need interior linemen. But do I think that he's $37 million worth? No. Not based on past production. And what I think his ceiling could be. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. If you guys are a part of the pro-Jones argument or the anti-Jones argument, please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. I really want to get more of your comments. So, appreciate you guys for sticking in. Just wanted to give, real quick, a schedule type of thing with this channel. If you're new to the channel and whatnot, we got Boys in the Big Apple on Mondays, which is basically a sports podcast. We really do New York sports, but we also go into some other stuff like general NBA, general NFL as well. We're doing a lot of draft stuff on here, whether it's videos or live content. Thursday, we got the Dead Red Podcast. Baseball is returning soon, so hopefully we'll get some Yankee videos out there. Friday is Friday Night Knicks. Who could miss that, right? Donald and Luka chopping it up about the Knicks, man. They're doing a good job. Listen, I'm not totally in on basketball in terms of, being a fan. I don't know as much as they do, but the Knicks have been turning on it lately. But appreciate you guys as always. Road to 1K, and we'll see you next time. Peace.